Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to MTG Arena. Today is Wednesday, December 18th. Starting closer to my regular time, or at least the time it used to be. 1 in the afternoon Central Time. Rerolling that doesn't do anything. I'm a little surprised I'm even awake at this point. Let's see. Brawler Days here seems to just gonna be this one event for 10,000 to get this commander. This event ends January 16th, so we still have like plenty of time to get that commander if we want to get that commander. It probably isn't a terrible idea. We have a ranked draft core set here I could do again, but since our profile is already done, it would be a waste of money. And then we have ranked draft Throne of Eldraine, which doesn't seem like it just ever goes away. You can just do it over and over again. And I am at a mastery level of 97 right now, so probably by the end of today we will be over 100 or at 100, and then it's just kind of some gravy, get some more gold. Now I have 50,000 gold right now, but if I go back and look here, there's a lot of times where you get 500 gold because I purchased the mastery level, and if it's another $10 to buy the mastery level for the new expansion that's coming out in like 90 days, that could be a problem. Let's see, how much does that really look like we got? 3,000, 4,000 maybe. Let's see. It would, just to jump up to this point, a 13 level boost would be 2,000 gold. But I of course don't want to do that. So I have some slight concerns there that in the next expansion I may have 50,000 gold to buy 50 packs for the next expansion, and then it's gonna require putting some money in at some point to have enough gold to buy 50 packs for the next expansion. Meanwhile, here I guess we can finish off this. One more skin of pretty much no value to me. And we have one pack of Ravnica cards, which, let's see, Goblin Locksmith, that's a funny picture. Your guests are just on this treadmill forever as far as getting wild cards. Do you ever get out from under that? Probably not unless you just own all the cards and then you have a bunch of wild cards and no reason to open packs. Seems like most people will constantly get some form of pressure to play the pay for more packs, not play at all, just pay. That's what they really want. I was playing Angel Army yesterday, while also working on my conference room screen project. The problem with the programming that I'm running into is that to have all the settings and things as a JavaScript object array, for lack of a better term, makes it a different kind of array that's just full of text compared to what I think you could probably do with standard Arduino Python/C programming, which Arduino still is very weird in that you kind of can just jump between one type of programming and the other. So it's a somewhat difficult situation in which you're having to convert text strings of numbers back into numbers, integers as it were, or even float numbers if you were going to use float numbers. In the end, I probably won't use any float numbers at all. Floating point numbers. And I'm running into, as I'm moving forward, I'm running into just something I had yet to think about, which is, since it is a conference room screen that is designed by default at first, since it's designed to be a thing that would read a calendar, it needs to take into account not only the date and the time, it needs to take into account daylight savings time, which unfortunately programming daylight savings time in any kind of auto updating way is not really doable as far as I can tell. There's 2 header files to connect to time servers and get the hour and the date, but it's always in universal time codecs, so I'm having to use a header file and assistance program called airtime, and airtime does not, no, it's not called airtime, it's called ace time, which is almost impossible to search online because Google just goes, do you mean FaceTime, with an F. Well, I'm not going to win here, but I was doing relatively well with the white deck. So some of it I think just kind of does boil down to a lack of luck, as it were. Oh, I didn't see that one was flying. If I had done that, I would have given him pacifism and then attacked the face. Ah, well, I'm doomed. The problem, particularly with trying to program using this header files of ace time, is that it returns a very uniquely structured custom class, custom array, and it does not seem to easily have a system I can find to just return a text response of the date, the time, and so I've been jumping in hoops. For a brief second I thought I'd broken my e-ink screen on it because it was just not working. Turned out it was really the program was just crashing at some point, probably in several points for several different reasons, as I had changed quite a lot of the settings. But I finally got it working again after taking the screen off its controller board and realizing that there's some kind of weird like white rubber on it that I scratched off some of, which probably didn't do it any favors. That should be fine. And then I happened into a Kohl's, and apparently, at least the Kohl's I went into, has much larger e-ink screens that they use to generally speaking, put up the prices of things, which makes me assume that they're changing the prices. Not that people with the print price tags aren't changing the prices like crazy in a lot of stores too. So somewhere out there, other people are able to get e-paper screens much larger than what I've been able to find for, and I could get bigger screens, certainly. It's just a matter of price. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to price myself into making a device that is the same price as other conference room screens that already exist, because those are already too expensive. And yeah, I went to a hardware store and got some half-depth 1 gang boxes, which are light switch boxes or outlet boxes effectively, and priced out what individually those would cost. In bulk I could certainly spend a lot less, and got a outlet gang box extender and some other options. So I'm thinking about like the physical installation of the device and how it would work. If people wanted it wired, if people didn't want it wired, changes kind of the effect. Since it's a device that runs off a micro USB and charges off the same micro USB, it is probably the best. Like, if it's just going to run off the battery, putting it in a half-height 1 gang box, or a low voltage, it's not even really a gang box, it's just a low voltage adapter for light switch faceplates, and to run like phone cord and cable through. You could get that, or I could, if they want it plugged in, then you get a 2 gang box, and then you put one actual 120 outlet with one of those new power plugs that has a USB connector on the sides of them, which are becoming more and more fashionable as a upsell type outlet. And then it would just be a matter of using one side of the box to hold the screen, and then the outlet would have a USB cord coming out of the box through a hole I'd probably have to drill, and plugging into the outlet that's on the other side of the box, which can be pretty tidy. There really is no transformer that I've seen that's particularly small that would transform 120 volts into USB 5 volts that's designed to be inside a wall. So the best solution is just to have an electrician add an outlet and give yourself more of an outlet. Of course, if you don't want to put any holes in the wall, or you can't put any holes in the wall, then you're mostly going to be able to just install the box. Well, I imagine you'd still have to put some screw holes, because trying to like 3M tape it to a wall would probably not work. And it's not being really designed in such a way that... Guess I could go in and attack here? It's not really being designed in such a way that you could do much else with it. Like gluing it to a wall is just as damaging as putting like one screw. I can imagine you could just put one screw in a wall easily. Oh man, I'm not paying enough attention here. I'm trying very hard to not have to use any kind of 3D printed parts, because consistency on 3D printing, or having to buy a 3D printer to just constantly print out mounts or adapters would be a nightmare scenario. It's something that might be a phase 2 suggestion or idea, is in a second revision is have something like that. So I have to pretty much block these two. But yeah, I'm certainly not spending as much time as I should working on the programming. And not really getting anything else done too. As I was breaking the screen, I was thinking, yeah, let's just give up on the whole project. But it's far too early to be giving up. Alright, well, so you basically have to do this. And then I can do this. And then I can do this. And then I can do this. But he's won because he can just activate this ability, and he'll do 2 damage. So if unless he missed that trick, which I doubt he would. I don't know what's going on. It seems like it changes just on a time frame basis. Like sometimes late night or early in the morning, so it seems like I'm just playing against some really bad players and I'll win for sure. And then whenever I start streaming during the day, it seems like all the good players come out at that time, which it makes sense, certainly. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly how it works. Two buddies got a upcoming video they're going to stream. Does YouTube hate small content creators? Almost certainly a lot of two buddy videos are kind of clickbaity, and the answer is going to be not a direct yes or a direct no. Like almost certainly the answer will be not really, but sorta. Whereas I'm not afraid of giving an actual opinion, and I would say, yeah, they kind of do hate small content creators, as much as you would attribute hate to just a such an organization that's just run by so many different people. and really is rudderless. That they want big corporate entities to be the YouTubers, and big corporate entities want to use YouTube as an advertising platform to promote themselves and really do nothing else for the community or the consumer. I mean, it would be a slightly different argument if the viewers on YouTube were particularly more satisfied with big corporate channels, but they really aren't. I don't even think we really have a ton of news, and it really is just gonna constantly be that case, I think, going forward forever. Like, I don't think we get away from that concept until the new year. Do I want to attack? No, not yet. There's a bunch of Borderlands 3 shift codes that they're giving out. Shift codes to something for Borderlands 3 every single day. But yeah, that's about the most video game important piece of information to mention. The Pokemon company apparently is still going after Twitter so that they can go after people who leaked information about their game. One of the big Pokemon tournaments has agreed to get rid of the Dynamaxing mechanic completely. I think that was it. I think there's also Gigamaxing was a previous generation thing that they banned, so the entire tournament basically hates the new feature, or the new feature breaks a challenging the challenge of playing player versus player. Let's see, Hellblade Sasuna's Sacrifice is $9.99 on sale on Steam right now, which makes me a little bit afraid that I bought it at the sale previously and it managed to be more than that. That is possible. That's exactly what did happen. And it might be a prime example of me simply not waiting quite long enough for a better sale. Really couldn't be something that I'd be super upset with, though. Like, one of the best reviewed and received games of last year or the year before is something I was going to cover anyways, and comparing prices now versus prices then is just an easy way to drive yourself crazy. You can never have perfect information. But I am certainly in a weird position as YouTube just really does not favor more content, and I'm not really making any content at all in this month. It's just like take an entire month off. I wish I had better hindsight at the beginning of the year, or perhaps even a year or two ago, and instead of trying to make a ridiculous amount of content, deciding to just take it slow and take it easy and build up more of a buffer. Not that I think that would have really done anything helpful. It probably would have just made my channel even less well received. Like the only thing that really would have made my channel more successful is if I'd started earlier. That it's just get in at the ground floor, and everybody will be looking to get in at the next ground floor. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of like dark web video streaming service that I haven't even heard of that might be the ground floor. But then there's probably hundreds of them trying to be that. That's where Bitly in particular was an interesting idea, but it seems to me like Bitly, I haven't even checked it, but it seems to me like it's just never going to upload any of my videos simply because of the lack of bandwidth. Like, I don't think Bitly works for anybody other than the largest of the people who have also probably been kicked off of YouTube, or at least largely marginalized on YouTube. Let's see, so let's just start covering the news, and yeah, more than likely I suppose we'll, since we got the one daily quest done, we're really just looking for victories, and hopefully we'll get as many as possible. We want to get at least 10, but 15 is more ideal. Just want to keep on getting cards until it stops becoming really that important to get that one extra uncommon card. Like, we still are in a position where I could definitely do better having one more uncommon. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Get a job. Insomniac Games is hiring a lead level designer in Burbank, California. I'm having a hard time remembering what Insomniac Games did. So let me search that, and because I know they made something pretty big. Let's see, Insomniac Games made the Spider-Man game and Sunset Overdrive, Stormlands, Power of the Dragon, Ratchet and Clank, Edge of Nowhere, the Unspoken Song of the Deep. I would not be surprised. Actually, I'd be very surprised if it wasn't actually Spider-Man 2. Like, clearly you would want to make a Spider-Man 2 tie-in with whatever Spider-Man next movie comes out, which there definitely is going to be a next Spider-Man movie. So Insomniac Games is probably going to have to commit at least half of its entire operations to ensuring that the next Spider-Man always is being in development. And honestly, it's been shocking that there hasn't been some Marvel or DC just annualized games, when there really should be. Like, there should be stories of a different Spider-Man, a different Batman game by a AAA developer every single year, and we kind of don't get it. Batman games for a bit of a reason, like, since the last Batman game was horribly developed and possibly rushed. This is probably a very nice balance against the white deck. It's gonna just stop him from being able to do anything. Of course, they've got me in kind of a bad position too. Ideally, I'd like to be able to kill this and a 2, which would be okay if I killed this. and then bring them all back. But might be able to win just fine as is. Game of Sutra has an article here. Twitch is facing a 2.9 billion lawsuit over the broadcast of pirated soccer streams. This is a Russian internet company which we would have to see, I guess, whether this would whether this is happening in Russian courts. I guess it is. So this Russian company wants 2.9 billion and wants Twitch banned in Russia, and at that point it becomes more of a political thing than a regular lawsuit. Things being banned in Russia I don't think would be particularly affect Twitch's streaming platform much. Twitch getting fined 2.9 billion also in Russia probably wouldn't affect them too much, because they almost certainly would just not pay it. Particularly if they get banned in Russia and they get fined. It's like you just pull a Google and just say we're just not gonna pay it. And inherently this is probably going to be one of those things where they'll just blame the actual people who stream these pirate soccer streams are the people they have to go after, not Twitch directly, whether that's true or not. Well, do we want to? We kind of have to do this. And I gave him indestructible. Let's see. 1, 2, if I could just get Bola Citadel on the field, I could win right now. I have pretty much 10 creatures on the field. Let's see. Game of Sutra has an article here. Undead Labs is setting up a new game studio, Game Development Academy in New Orleans. This is the State of Decay developer. Okay, interesting. So, draw a card. Play that. And play that. And then no attacks. So, I may end up next turn just playing this. So, let's see. Can't block that, but I can block this. And so he's going to try and put a counter on here. There really isn't a ton of games that came out on Steam either. I mean, I'm gonna say this pretty much every time until the new year. Let's see. Well, this will work. Although, in all fairness, killing my own guy would have been potentially a smart move too. So here we go. We have a game on Steam called ATROFIL, The Key, from a ML puzzle, which looks to me like it is probably a asset flip horror game, MIL puzzle, but maybe it's just a kind of ugly horror game. No, I don't think so. When you give a screenshot that's just showing legs and then cleavage, like I'm looking at the top of the screen here, like, and it's just looping that over and over again, pretty much. Yeah. This is $7.99. They say it's close to The Evil Within, which was the game that I forgot the name of last stream, English and Russian. Let's look at MIL puzzle and see if he's got anything else of interest to mention. Alright, let's see. I need just one more land and then I can win the game. So I just have to survive one more land and have a moderately
I am a Johnny Goldmate.
high enough
I
health.
will be your friend.
And then there's some other gambles in this. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So maybe we're down to 8. So if I played this and there was a land here, I might not be able to activate it. But I am able to, so here we go. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and all of those. So that should be more than enough to win actually before we even do the 10 damage. $25 of these. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep. That would have been another negative 10 there. Yeah, and apparently this MIL puzzle hasn't made anything else. I think this game is just a little too suspiciously low quality, frankly, and the language is suspicious too. So I don't think I need to put this on a follow list. This might be a hidden gem. Like, I say that every time. It's like, it could be a hidden gem, but the odds are extremely, extremely low. Next, we have a game on Steam here called the Emerald Tablet, which looks like it is a JRPG of some sort, although it has the chibi characters here being displayed in the actual combat. But then I kind of like the animation on the characters normally. That was a shocking one. This wasn't tagged adult content or anything like that, so I didn't check the screenshots first. So it seems like you probably are kind of running a shopkeeper and talking to people, but the actual gameplay is a single screen RPG experience. So this is $14.99 and it's English and traditional Chinese. I wouldn't say though that this looks terrible, particularly compared to most of the Chinese garbage that we have seen. And it's being published by Sekai Project, which I believe Sekai Project does kind of have some level of quality, don't they? Yeah. Let's see. The Nikopara series. Might be that Sekai Project is kind of the one that puts out the mediocre games. Yeah, I'm not really seeing a lot from Sekai Project. It seems like they're on my wish list unless I'm logged out. But also, a lot of these games don't look particularly interesting. Alright, we have like Tropical Liquor. I must have gotten that game for free. There's some of these older games that on second thought I might look at a second time and go, nah. So yeah, it looks to be like a 50-50 chance on this one, if you're even inclined to play a JRPG game, which that did occur to me certainly, as I'm kind of in a distraction phase of my life, not really playing too many games. Pulling out some kind of mindless JRPG and just playing that might be one way to make a lot of content without really having to say or do too much. Particularly playing a JRPG, it's like it's not a particular problem to go for an hour or an hour and a half or even 2 hours per episode, say very little, and still feel like I'm being relatively in line with other content creators and other critics. I guess I could attack now, and I should. Because they'll let it through, yeah. Let's see, next we have a game on Steam called Warp Zone vs. the Dimension, which feels like it's an attempt at making a game from like the 90s, early 90s. But it says it came out December 2016, December 16th, 2019. So, yeah, it looks like it's a Comic Zone clone, frankly. And it's not like we really have a lot of Comic Zone clones. So there is an idea here. $8.99, English and Portuguese Brazil. I'll put it on the follow list. It's still very, very much a case of a game that may not ever get played or may not have any relevancy, but there's something interesting to it. Let's see. So you played this. I don't know why you would have played that when I had a flying creature and you couldn't defend it at all. Like playing a planeswalker just as a defender is crazy. Game Sutra has an article here. Zynga opens a new UK mobile studio to expand its racing game portfolio. So expect more racing games from Zynga in the future. Let's see. Here's an article just talking about a blog picking his best games of the year, so that's not something really worth mentioning. The Giant Bomb Game of the Year audio things, video things will start happening Monday, so that'll be one, if not the main game of the year thing that I focus on. Although at some point I need to really work myself away from just all giant bomb content. Let's see. I could attack with this too. Next we have a game on Steam that's just a bunch of Asian characters. This looks like it is heavily taking inspiration from Sword Art Online and seems to be a card collecting gacha style mobile game that's just been ported to Steam. It doesn't look way worse than most card collecting gacha games, although I have yet to see any mobile port of a gacha or card collecting style games really nicely change its interface for a widescreen 16:9 monitor. You can see English is not supported here. It's $9.99 with in-app purchases, and it's Chinese only. So even if I wanted to play it, which I probably would not pick this one anyways, I can't because it doesn't support English. Let's see. And keeping on here. What does that card do? Destroy target creature, you gain 1 life. That's a worthless card. And then I've over attacked. It would have been smarter to hold on to something. Although it may not really matter. Like two damage to attacks there. Play this. Play this. Play this. Play this. And he gives up. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Kandagawa Jet Girls DLC characters Yumi and Asuka gameplay included with a bonus. This is the weird girls in pairs on jet skis shooting each other with like laser guns that make different layers of clothing fall off. Cheesecake anime series that is being made into a game. It's getting pushed really hard by Marvelous Entertainment, and I don't see how it really is going to catch on super much. It is what it is, and it looks fine for what it is, but I don't see how you could even put it on the same level of the Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash series, which had plenty of other already pre-established and pre-loved characters in the Senran Kagura series. And I don't see how this would turn into an anime that people would really want to watch a ton of. That is, of course, the golden desire is to, if you can make something that is slightly cheesecakey but also brings people back and they actually care about it, you'll do a lot better than something that's just only satisfying for a brief moment and then is people lose interest in it. And I really don't think that writers nowadays can do that. Whereas you had like the Tenchi Muyo series in the old days, like that was a harem anime that was very teasing and not really showing a lot, and that allowed the series to go on for many reincarnations and many episodes and tell a story that also caught people's attention. Now it's very often nobody cares about the story at all, and it really is just maybe the character designs of the girls are interesting, maybe not, and probably by the third episode you've seen them completely naked in a lot of these adult animes, which they're not even a lot of times pushing very hard for the uncensored versions on Blu-ray. Sometimes they still will do the smoke steam effect and censor it for live broadcasts in Japan, but sometimes they don't even bother with that. So yeah, they've gone down in quality, I would say. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Escape the Ninja Room, which looks like it is a mobile adventure escape the room type game that has been moderately well converted to PC, but its graphics certainly don't look great. It's $1.79 discounted. It's English and Japanese. You can also play a game called 10 Clock, which I've never heard of. These games are not particularly worth the $1.79 that they're asking for, unfortunately. And I don't know how you really fix that either. I don't know how you can make it so you can make a simple adventure escape the room game be quality enough that it is worth actually paying any money for without blowing your budget and having a super high visual graphics element. In a funny way, like the Tomb Raider reboot would have done nicely to have a couple of scenes like this. Not the vast majority of the game by any means, but if they just had a scenario where Lara Croft in a couple of scenarios was locked in a room and had to use her investigative archaeological skills to look around the room and find a way to escape, that would be something different over the platforming elements that were in the game inside the tombs and the puzzle elements that were inside the tombs, which there was never really enough of that. This guy is not gonna win. Next we have Mahjong Gold, which I don't want to immediately dismiss yet another Mahjong game, Mahjong Solitaire game in particular on Steam. They don't really come out that often. Here you go, you hit accidental swastika, or very possible intentional mahjong. I believe that is what it's called in Buddhism. But it's really hard to say that any of these are worth owning. $2.99 discounted English and Russian. It seems weird that you'd have a Mahjong solitaire game that doesn't support an Asian language, and no, I'm not going to try and make the argument that Russians are Asians. There's there's just something not interesting enough with Mahjong games, just as they are. Yeah, if this guy figures out a way to win with 2 cards and nothing on the field, really. There is something here. I saw this deck. If you have a bunch of coins in one deck, you can win the game automatically. So if you just have 10 coins, but it is kind of a controlled strategy, and I've yet to see anybody actually use it or do it. So it clearly isn't a top tier winner. Speaking of top tier, here's Tech Raptor. They go the top 15 games of 2013. This came out December 17th, 2019. So are they trying to give a whole series here? Apparently so. I kind of wish I could see a combined list here, because it's not really worth the time to go through every single list, which would be 10 lists, to be reminded of games. If anything, this is just going to make me a little sad. Like, I haven't gotten around to playing Papers, Please, and that was 6 years ago now. I haven't gotten around to playing The Last of Us, and probably never will, because it won't come to PC. Whereas some of these other games, I'm fine with missing. GTA 5. I have played Bioshock Infinite. Metro Last Light. I'm kind of fine with missing that, because but like Call of Juarez, maybe I should have played. So let's see if there's a whole list here. They're up to 2015, so let's see what the best games of 2010 are. StarCraft 2 came out in 2010. That's insane. Limbo came out. Battlefield Bad Company 2 came out. Let's see. They're not really listing the names. Halo Reach. So 9 years later, we're getting Halo Reach on PC. Bayonetta came out. Bayonetta 1 came out in 2010. Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out. Super Mario Galaxy came out. It's been a long time. And if anything, I would argue that the 2010s has been my worst decade in my life so far as playing video games. Just have not played anywhere as much as I used to. Let's see. Mass Effect came out in 2010. Let's see what came out in 2011. Saints Row the Third came out in 2011. Deus Ex Mankind Divided. No, Deus Ex Human Revolution came out. Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings, I think, came out in 2011. Batman Arkham City, Rayman Origins, Bastion, Dead Space, Terraria. Interesting, I wouldn't have really figured out Terraria. Skyrim, apparently. Portal 2. All of this information I could be saying right now, very high chance of me getting something wrong here. But by the way, just I want to throw that out. Minecraft apparently came out. Dark Souls came out in 2011. Let's see what's 2012. Guild Wars 2, not really interested. The Walking Dead from Telltale's came out. Let's see. Did Counter-Strike Go come out in 2012? Sleeping Dogs came out. Mass Effect 3 came out in 2012. Let's see. Persona 4 Golden, XCOM Enemy Unknown. Dragon's Dogma came out. Dishonored came out. Let's see. FTL came out apparently. Borderlands 2 came out. Some of this stuff feels like it's way older. So I am in a weird position where some of it feels like it was way older, some of it feels like it's way younger than it should be. The comparisons are very strange, certainly, as far as when games came out, because if you are just obsessed with Borderlands 2, as I probably was at the time, I probably wasn't playing FTL. And yeah, I think it took me a lot longer than 2012 to start playing FTL. Spec Ops The Line, Journey, another game that just I don't think ever is coming to PC. That was 2012, and we had already done 2013. Right, let me just double check. Yeah, 2013. Some of those games I overlooked in 2013. Let's look at 2014. 2019 is the right time, I suppose, to also look at this information and say, oh yeah, we're at the end of the 2010s. Next year is 2020, the beginning of a whole new decade. So now is the time to look back. So in 2014, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. Like, I kind of want to play that sequel at this point. This. Should I just concede? Super Smash Brothers apparently came out. Let's see. Titanfall came out. Aliens Isolation. South Park The Stick of Truth. Rebirth, game I hadn't heard of. Nidhogg. Nidhogg was a multiplayer game only. The sequel to the follow-up to Bastion, not really a sequel. Transistor came out. More Telltale games. The Wolf Among Us. Telltale pretty much from 2013 going forward would have had something of particular interest every year. The Banner Saga. Mario Kart 8, Divinity Original Sins, Wolfenstein: The New Order. Suppose I have a bit of a desire to go back and continue playing the Wolfenstein series. I'm missing some of the games. PT came out in 2014. So it's been 5 years since the playable teaser to a game that will never actually be made. Shovel Knight started coming out, although the Kickstarter and the bundle that everybody was grandfathered into the treasure trove seems to only have been fully satisfied just a couple of weeks ago. So if you were waiting for Shovel Knight in its complete form, I don't think you're even getting it now. I wouldn't really believe that there isn't more to come in some way or other. See, I could tap somebody. I could get in the habit of just tapping people since I have mana. Let's see, for 2015, what do they have? Until Dawn came out in 2015, Ori and the Blind Forest, Hotline Miami, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Dying Light. That's a game I want to play. Like half of these games I don't want to play, even now, but some of them make sense. Right, I'm gonna go ahead and attack here and see what happens. Sim City, no, City Skylines came out in 2015. Kerbal Space Program came out in 2015. The Telltale game, Borderlands, the Borderlands Telltale game came out. Let's see, Metal Gear Solid 5 came out in 2015. I believe Rocket League came out in 2015. Life is Strange came out in 2015. The Undertale came out in 2015. Let's see. Rainbow Six Siege seems to have come out in 2015. Bloodborne seems to have come out. The Witcher 3 came out in 2015. And that's about as far as their list goes right now. So, yeah. I would say about 30% of the games that are listed in their top 10 for the 2000s, about 30% of those lists are games that I want to cover that I haven't covered or haven't played. Whereas 60% of them are either games I have already played or games I have no interest in. Which, okay, that's fine. Next we have a game on Steam here called the Climate Trail, which seems to be like the Oregon Trail, but instead with global climate change, which looks like it might be something, but it might also just be a joke troll game. And here you have either actors that were paid to make this specific game, or this is footage of an interview that the game creator created. Let's see, this game is free, so the price is right, in English only. So I don't recognize what channel this would be, but it seems to be like the weather channel. Okay. What do you say about something like this, though? It's only gonna, people who already believe in climate change probably don't need to play this game. People that don't believe in climate change will probably not play this game. It's free. If you want to play it, check it out. Otherwise, I don't think there's really a reason to follow it. Let's see. It doesn't look like it's particularly a good enough game to justify being followed or being played. Nightbot on the 16th tweeted that they should be back up on YouTube and working. So I'll leave it at that. Choose blockers. Block that. Block that. Block that. And block that. Yeah, I've probably lost her. Next, there's a game on Steam called Bottler 3000, which looks like a low effort, like low polygon game. I assume that's supposed to be a bottling machine, but inherently I guess it would just be a tapper game. 59 cents, English only, nothing more needs to be said about that. And I really don't want to go into a second recording, so I'm just going to try and burn through a lot of these games, because a lot of them are garbage anyways. Like this is Endless Ski, which is just a skiing game clone. I've seen this game made several times. It's probably an asset flip at this point. $2.99, English only. I would say that the angle of the camera is not even right for emulating the ski game that came with Windows a long time ago. Just no blocks. Yeah, I've lost. I half suspect that that ski game in particular was already kicked off of Steam once and is being re-uploaded and tried to be resold. You almost have to assume that that is the case, that that Valve has to spend some kind of effort to label and list all the games that they kick off of their storefront just to stop people from changing the game slightly and then re-uploading it. So there almost needs to be, and inherently I guess that this is the problem, is that they need somebody who's just smart enough to remember every game that's ever been listed on Steam storefront and have a memory of sorts to recognize games that have been removed. And that's the thing, that where if there was a council of quality, which is my suggestion, people could be very helpful with. If there's people that know all the low effort skiing games that are put on Steam, if there's somebody who's just an expert at that, they could probably identify that particularly easily, and I can identify it clearly. Moving on, Komatsu has an article, VVV Tunia, details story and new screenshots. This is the spin-off of Neptunia Games. This time they're in virtual reality. Screenshots do tell you something. Like, you have face-on standard dialogue scenes, and it's not a visual novel, but it kind of has that face or look to it. But then you also have 3D character images from probably the battling section, so there's something there. to be aware of. See, do I want to attack? No. Next we have a game on Steam called Patata Fairy Flower. Looks like it might be a kid's platforming adventure game. Doesn't look bad by any means. It looks kind of good. Now Patata is a weird name. I'll leave it at that. It sounds like the merging of tata, which is slang for breasts, and potatoes. But I don't see any indication, so it's probably a translation from a different language. $7.19, English and Russian. Yeah, this looks like it deserves a follow. We'll see if people play it and like it. I can't really do anything at all until I get more mana. Next is a game on Steam called Impossible Gamers Challenge, which clearly they're trying to get streamers playing this incredibly low effort ball game. $5.39, a whole bunch of languages, 11 achievements that look like they might be joke troll achievements. Man, I am just not getting anywhere. Mana locked. Next we have a game on Steam here called Blind Justice, which seems like it might be a courtroom drama kind of mystery type game, or maybe it's a judge simulation game. Yeah, it seems like it's a troll game. Yeah, it seems like it's kind of like Papers, Please if you're a judge in some kind of crazy world where they just shoot people in the courtroom as it was. Which would never happen because the judge wouldn't want blood on him, at the very least. $8.49. English only, 13 achievements. Says everything here is procedurally generated, which probably means it's garbage. And this just does look super gory for not a good reason. And that's the kind of gore that's not going to be impactful by any means, because the characters being executed are not characters that you'll ever care about. Let's see. Next we have a game called Ball Ants, another ball game, but at the very least I would say this looks like it has a lot more effort put on it. But you can see by the screen that it is designed to be played on a cell phone, and that there's a virtual gamepad showing up on the screen. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever want to play any more ball games. You'd have to make a really good sales pitch, and even though this one looks pretty polished, it's still not interesting enough. I think once you've played one of these games, you've had your lifetime fill. This is $2.99, English and Chinese. I would say it does seem cool that you're apparently switching the style of balls you play as a lot of times, and you seem to be fighting robots sometimes. But yeah, this still looks like it's a mobile game trying to be sold as a non-mobile game. Now I can finally start to play. Twitch rolled out some new feature, which I assume probably doesn't work with my channel since I'm not an affiliate. Channel points. Let's see. Channel points is a customizable points program that lets streamer reward members of their community with perks, including a taste of benefits typically reserved for subscribers, and is available for all partners and affiliates. So, seems just to be another way of trying to push people to become subscribers, and being subscribers on Twitch, remember, costs money. The thing in particular about Twitch is that they've really failed to maintain good momentum in this year. In particular, they had a lot better jobs that they could have done. Let's see. And simply failed to accomplish. Probably lost here. Yep. And this really was a year for Twitch to come into its success, if it was going to have any success. By this time, like, people weren't really loving YouTube this time last year, and they certainly were hating it after the adpocalypse that happened just about 11 months ago. So they had almost a full 12 months to try and pull as many YouTuber content creators over to their side, and they just could not ever get away from controversy, get away from inconsistent rule application, and just run their business somewhat like a business and consistently, more than Google does, which Google's super inconsistent too. I would at this point be way more willing to jump over to Mixer than I would be to jump over to Twitch. And yeah, I don't think they gained any market share. I think they hurt their own business through incompetence, particularly considering they were bought by Amazon. You would have thought that would have helped them a lot more, and it didn't. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article here. Towa Ware no Palm Refrain is coming to Switch on March 12th in Japan. A Through the Glass a love adventure game sequel. Okay, so probably a visual novel. There's a video here, but I don't know if I want to show it. Let me just have it start playing. It's rated Zero B, so it's not actually going to be anything to it. It's from Capcom. So let me just skip through this trailer, and yeah, it's kind of like a 3D adventure. It looks like you're interviewing someone in prison, mostly. Is that what they mean by through the glass, as you're talking through the glass to a prisoner? Originally it was on the App Store and the Google Play Store, so yeah, more and more we're seeing a lot of mobile games getting ported to the Switch. So you could easily take the assumption that a lot of Japanese developers For a brief time there, thought the move was to just go into mobile game development. Found out that mobile game development wasn't particularly successful or helpful for making a profit, and then they've now gotten on board with making Switch games, as the Switch has proven itself well enough that it's not going to fail like the Wii U did, at least. And with the new Xbox and PlayStation 5, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to flip again and decide to start putting them on the PlayStation 5, depending on how well Sony Interactive Entertainment treats Japanese companies. And I wouldn't also be surprised if they start putting more games back on mobile, although let's face it, they're not getting any real motivation to do that. Mobile gaming has been a complete failure. Well, do I want to do that? Sure, why not? Next, there's a game on Steam called Parody, which looks like it's a top-down... I wouldn't call it Pong, I'd call it more air hockey clone. It's got those neon colors that I never really like. It's $6.02, which is just way too expensive for what it is. And it's English only, so they priced themselves out of even being considered. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here where Luigi's Mansion's 3 DLC multiplayer pack has been announced. Okay. You can play Luigi's Mansion 3 in multiplayer already, but I imagine the multiplayer pack will be specific elements that are for multiplayer only. Little mini games or some sort, I would imagine. There's a game here on Steam called QR Code Killer, which is like the combination of two things, I would imagine. So I guess it's a murder mystery game that looks like it would have been a cell phone game. Here's the problem though, if you put a QR code that you would have to scan on a cell phone game, then you need a different cell phone to scan the code. So you would need 2 cell phones at that point. Otherwise, all these screenshots look pretty ugly and pretty low effort, and this looks like it's a mobile port game that they're selling for $9.99. So yeah, I don't think it deserves to be on the follow list. I've just got to get better, and I just got to get better at not wasting time with games that are almost certainly never going to succeed. I've been way too generous in the past. TechRaptor has an article here. Free and paid DLC is coming in 2020 for Children of Morta. I'm not sure if I really need to play Children of Morta because it was kind of a flash in the pan game. I hear it's really good, but it is one of those examples where I heard it from mainstream video game journalists that it was really good, and they talked about it for a week or so, and then there was no real world buzz around it. I'm personally still in a very bad position as far as trying to get real world buzz or real world understanding of what gamers are actually playing. That it really has been just very difficult to figure out how many people are really playing Borderlands 3, or how many people are playing Children of Morta, or how many people are playing Halo right now even. I just looked at the chat. Let's see. Level by Level Gaming says, "Hey Rydo, how are you? I'm still stuck on Hearthstone. Battlegrounds is fun." Hey Level by Level Gaming. I'm doing alright. I'm just getting very distracted lately. Like, it's been 2 or 3 weeks since I've made any pre-recorded footage. As for Hearthstone, yeah, I don't really miss it. Like, in the Battlegrounds thing, which if I was gonna play auto chess, I should have just gone and played auto chess. But as a streamer in particular, if I was still playing Hearthstone, I think I would still get a bunch of random people showing up in the chat, making it more political as far as the Hong Kong revolution and Blitzchung scenario. Even today, I imagine that would still be the case. And it was really just a good excuse to stop playing Hearthstone. At least now, while I'm playing Magic Arena, I'm learning something new, and it does seem like with it is a slightly bumpy road, but it does seem like Magic Arena is gaining traction. So by the time the new Bend Road Marvel card game comes out, it may be a scenario where there really isn't even a lot of desire on my part to leave Magic. I may just stick with Magic. On the other hand, I may very well turn into a scenario where it's just so expensive to keep up with the current expansion in Magic that it's not worth playing even in a digital format. So yeah, I'm fine with playing Magic for a while until the Marvel card game comes out. I still would put my bets that a Marvel-based card game from the person who was in charge of Hearthstone originally, Ben Brode, does have a high chance of success as far as collectible card games go. Let's see. Moving on with the news, Gamma Sutra has an article. Keywords expands its game services line with $12.5 million triple acquisition. So Keywords Studios has acquired 3 companies. Which probably won't mean anything to anybody. So I'll just leave the article where it is, and then if people are interested, they can look up the more information on their own. Alright, I see the beginning of the end now. We have a game here on Steam called Shadows of Time, which looks like a top-down, like, I'd say action twin-stick shooter sort of game. Seems like it's a time-controlling manipulation. It seems like it's just all over the place, and it suffers from some dark screenshot syndrome too. Yeah. And this is really not the kind of character I'd imagine you would animate from a top-down appearance, because there's kind of no reason. And I can't even recognize if this character looks anything like that character. I don't even see a spot of blue on this character to have such blue hair. $8.99, English and French. I think this is a pass. Yeah, I don't think that there's anything to be seen there. I stole my card. Alright, well, let's do this. This, and this, and this. And put that back on the field that way. And then I'll attack. Gamatsu has an article here. Warcraft 3 Reforged has been delayed to January 28th, 2020. Another Activision Blizzard game that I guess I kind of forgot it even existed. Like, I should be, if it weren't for all the controversy around Activision Blizzard, I theoretically should be amazingly hyped about a Warcraft 3 because it was the Warcraft series, not World of Warcraft, that interested me. So the fact that it is just completely past my observation sphere and I didn't even remember that it was in development just shows how little regard I have left for Activision Blizzard. It's just like they're on the blacklist, which I do need to at some point, like for this year in particular, it shouldn't be the top 10 games of 2019. It should be the top 10 controversies of 2019, and I should just develop a full-on list of every game company, and here's why this game company should be blacklisted, here's why this game company should be blacklisted, and let's just prioritize them in order, because there's more information there for me in making a list like that than there is to say, well, maybe Borderlands 3 deserves to be in the top 10 list of games that came out this year, but then I didn't play Borderlands 3 because it was an Epic Store exclusive, which the Epic as a company would be definitely on that high on the list of games with controversies, game companies with controversies. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article here. Sony has designed a pair of programmable back buttons for the DualShock 4. As far as I can tell, these are here and here are the actual buttons and not this screen, although perhaps you touch the screen to use it too. So I guess more back buttons makes some sense, but that kind of is a half measure to the Xbox Elite setup, which I think has some ways in which you could have had some more buttons. And what's interesting, I guess, is this is a way for them to experiment without coming out with a whole new controller. And while they did slightly change the controller design for the Xbox Series X, it doesn't seem like they've significantly changed it. I would still say I think they need a mouse wheel function, just so you can select weapons. As more and more weapons are available in more and more games, it's becoming harder and harder to create even weapons wheels that pop up to select what you're going to attack with. TechRaptor has an article here. After 22 years, Blade Runner is finally back on PC. This is probably using the ScumVM emulator, is what they're talking about, which is to say that that's cool. Oh, actually, it's from Good Old Games, so if you want to actually buy the game, you have to get it from Good Old Games, and then maybe it runs through the ScumVM emulator, although they don't mention it. For a 22-year-old game, this looks pretty good, but that might be one of the best stills in the entire, what I assume is a point-and-click adventure game. And kind of hard to justify having a Blade Runner game in general come out. It's not like the sequel to Blade Runner would benefit from that video game coming out, nor is there likely to be a third game in the trilogy. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article, and the analysts claims that Clash of Clans claimed the most consumer spending of any mobile game this decade. Very believable. Yeah, I'm Clash of Clans. If you are going to be a whale and pay money, I imagine it would be Clash of Clans and then possibly Candy Crush, and then I can't even think of what the third game would be that would be so expensive. Maybe Pokemon Go, if you were going to buy a lot of extra elements for Pokemon Go. TechRaptor has this article, I already talked about this. The video game competition Smogon has banned Dynamaxing from Pokemon Sword and Shield. So, like, the brand new feature that was added, they don't even like or want because of it being either game breaking or just unfun. There's a intriguing name of a game here called Sin Chess, which unfortunately looks like it is probably a Chinese mobile game of some sort. It seems like it might very well just be a loot box opener with nothing else in it. Yeah, it does not look like there's an actual entertaining experience here. It's $8.99 and it's English and Chinese. Yep, unfortunately, that just happens a lot. There's just a lot of Chinese games that don't seem to really understand what video games are in general. If I can just get Bola Citadel on the field, there's a chance I can win. Chance. Not a great chance. Next there's a game on Steam here called Ima Wars, Steampunk and Orcs. And it looks a little asset flippy. And it looks like its interface just has way too many controls. There might be a concept somewhere where you could fly around in something like this, but this would almost certainly have to be the travel transitional gameplay mode on top of a standard like JRPG where you're on the ground fighting creatures. I don't think you could convince me to play a game that looks like that, that's just a fly around shooting game. If I want to play a fly around shooting game, I kind of want it to be more realistic. Let's see, I'm just going to go ahead and auto pass. This Ima Wars is $5.99 and it's English and Russian. Yep. And I'll leave it at that. And this is probably more condemning than anything. OpenCritic has an article here. Stadia has added Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse, 2 out-of-date Borderlands, Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse 2, and out-of-date Borderlands and Ghost Recon Breakpoint with an exclusive feature. And what they mean by out-of-date Borderlands 3 is not the patch version that is available on Stadia. Not Stadia, on the Epic Games Store. The fact that's even more damning, in my opinion, is that they really have not been putting out more games on a weekly basis. Even with their current release amount, had they simply staggered it so that every week there was a story of one new game being added consistently, at the very least then you would get some press coverage and people could say, well, it's not a lot of games, but at least they're consistently adding things. They let it sit in a way that it feels like, oh, as an afterthought, decided to add 3 new games. And that just doesn't work. Even if it was, Stadia was supposed to be like a monthly service where you get 3 games, like a Games Pass service, which it isn't. Releasing 3 new games at a specific point at the beginning of a month is not helpful. It's not desirable. You're just counter-programming against yourself. Next, there's a game on Steam called Caved Kingdom, which seems to be probably an asset flip sim of medieval times. There's a decent amount here, it's just not very polished, and it just doesn't really look like it is anything of interest. And then the actual gameplay seems to be this overworld map, so these are very possibly just animations. This is early access, free to play, and it's MMO online with a third-party account and EULA and English only. And it's like, yeah, no, that's a lot of things I am not interested in one bundle. Let's see, we have a game here called Microscope Madness, which seems to be a top-down twin-stick shooter with just an overlay because it's seems to be like sperm you're fighting or something. $1.99 English only. Yep. Nope, nothing interesting there. Notice there it did not bother to play any sound effect when it was my turn in Magic Arena. That's a problem. I don't know if that was a glitch or if that's just an oversight. But yeah, there should be something. There's a sound effect when you draw a card, but there's not a sound effect when you just click the My Turn button. Or there wasn't that time. We'll see if it happens this time. Meanwhile, we have a game on Steam called Iron Sight, which looks like it is an actually polished first-person shooter, and we're in such a drought right now at the end of the year that any first-person shooter that looks even slightly good, even though they are super derived and generic, most first-person shooters looks way better than most games. So I'm going to put this on the fall list. It's free to play, and it's in-app purchases and online PvP, third-party account, and EULA. Because it's free to play, I'll take it off the following list again. But if you do want to play a free to play game, this looks like it might be decent enough. Maybe. Your mileage will probably vary quite a bit. Some people will probably get a lot of entertainment out of it. I imagine a lot of people will play it for an hour and then quit. Gamatsu has an article here. Desire Remastered version is coming to the Switch December 27th in Japan, and at a special discount price until February 1st. This looks like a remastered visual novel, obviously. Although I would say this art style does look a little bit different. Getting away from the usual moe super short character drawing. Gamma Sutra has an article here. The Xbox Series X will support backwards compatibility at launch. And I would call it probably better described as forwards compatibility as I understand it. Because it seems to me, at least for the Microsoft products that they have control over, if you buy, say, Halo Reach for Xbox One, they seem to want to then allow you to put in the disc for Halo Reach Xbox One into the Series X and get the Series X version of that game. So a free upgrade, which I would call that forwards compatibility, which is cool. And I did hear that there is one one big fan, I think, in the entire Xbox Series X. But it doesn't seem like there's a speaker in it, and it doesn't seem like it makes too much noise. And they also slightly reduced the size of the controller, so that might irritate me a little bit, since I have particularly big hands, but I imagine I can live with a just small percentage smaller controller. But I'm still anxiously awaiting somebody to actually get their hands on the Series X and take it and tear it apart and show the internals. Let's see, Level by Level Gaming says, gotta go, talk to you later. Bye, Level by Level Gaming. I'm about to wrap up anyways, and it's just taking me forever. Let's see, we have a game here on the Steam called The North Pole, which looks like it is a collection of little mini activities in kind of a troll joke game, playing as Santa Claus. It doesn't look terrible, and it doesn't look hugely offensive, from the screenshots at least. But then it requires a controller. It's $8.03. It's English only, third-party EULA. I don't think that there's really a reason why you would want to purchase or play this game. If anything, what they should do is the AAA game developers should just give Christmas outfits. And Japanese developers have been better at this than by far, because they love selling skins and outfits, and people actually will buy them in Japan. But yeah, if you had Lara Croft getting a special outfit for Christmas and it was either sold, or if you had Hitman's Agent 47 in the Santa outfit, that would be cool. Mario in the Santa outfit. A lot of these games, the AAA games, could easily give out a skin like that for free and not even have to bat an eye about charging for it. That would be a much better way for the video game community to get into the Christmas spirit. And I don't really feel like that would be too offensive. Generic Coca-Cola Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, isn't so political or religious that I think people are going to be upset about it. And certainly you could have a Hanukkah and Kwanzaa skin just as easily. You'd think things like Overwatch in particular would be easy enough to sell those skins too. And half the time in the Japanese games, if they are selling some kind of winter Christmas outfit, it is of an anime girl in some kind of scantily clad version of a Santa Claus outfit anyway, so nobody's been particularly offended by that. It's hard to make the argument that anyone is improperly perverting, for lack of a better term, the Christmas holiday, when the Christmas holiday itself has been incredibly perverted by capitalism and Coca-Cola in particular, single-handedly creating the vision and the appearance of what most people think of as Santa Claus in the United States. Moving on, there's a game here called Cold Wires. This is a spike platformer game, but it uses wires to hook yourself to the sides of walls and manipulate yourself. In the end, it's still just a frustration game with a slightly different movement mechanic. It's $1.19. It's got 7 achievements. It looks like an achievement game. It's English only. And yeah, it's just another game I would never want to play. Why am I always just like one short? See, next there's a game called Defending Frontiers. Pretty obvious I didn't curate most of these games either. This is a tower defense zombie game. Sit $2.39 discounted English only. Yeah, nothing more needs to be said. Yeah, I just really failed to curate. TechRaptor has an article here. Rebellion Zombie Army Trilogy Nintendo Switch port is coming in Q1 of 2020. Which I'm not sure that the Zombie Army Trilogy is really a game that needs to be played, but wait, it's coming regardless. Gamma Sutra has an article. Call of Duty Modern Warfare has topped $1 billion in sell-through revenue, which I'm not sure what sell-through revenue means. I guess maybe sell-through revenue means money that you've earned after you've deducted costs, but I'm not sure that would make sense. TechRaptor has an article here. PlanetSide Arena is shutting down after 4 months. Apparently, it's been in early development of some kind of way, or the developers of PlanetSide 1 created PlanetSide Arena and released it 4 months ago, and as a spin-off of PlanetSide 2, which hasn't been made at all. So there's just a massive player drop-off from the looks of this image, and they just gave up the ghost incredibly fast, which may not be a bad thing, frankly. Like, just inherently deciding to give up on something that's not working and moving on is often better than just sticking with it. And had they just stuck with PlanetSide Arena for several years, trying to milk as much money out of it and making it a worse and worse experience, instead of moving on to the next game they want to develop, the company as a whole may have suffered more. But it does also seem like PlanetSide Arena was rushed out to be a Fortnite competitor, and was too late to the party. Yeah, I thought we would be up to level 100 here, but it's been a very tough day as far as getting victories. Let's just cover the rest of the news and then call it a day. Rock of Ages 3 Make It and Break PC closed alpha test begins January 10th. I did not realize Rock of Ages 2 had already come out, but I guess it did. Since I didn't really like the first game, though, I'm not really interested in playing the third game. TechRaptor has an article here. Who's Your Daddy remake arrives December 2020, which I guess maybe the remake could polish it up a lot more and make it better, but from the description of what they've changed, it seems like it's probably only been slightly improved, if at all. We could probably skim this. There's definitely a different animation style now. It's going for more comedic, cartoony appearance instead of just kind of an asset flip appearance. But yeah, I'm not sure changes the game much. I'm not sure that game really makes sense if you're not playing against a human competitor. Gamma Sutra has an article. Apple Arcade rolls out a $50 yearly subscription option. I would highly suggest to people not taking them up on that offer until you see what this first year, at least, of releases actually are. Because they very possibly have shown the best that they're going to get for the next year. Famitsu sales are listed on Gamatsu for 1209 to 1215. This will be interesting to just see what's selling in this December month. Pokemon Shield and Sword, Project Sakura Wars, Ring Fit Adventure, Luigi's Mansion, Mario and Sonic, Minecraft, Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Brothers, Treasury Spirits. I haven't heard of that game. And Mario Maker 2. Like, I don't believe any of these are new. Project Sakura Wars is new, and they sold for the PS4, and they were in the second spot. Everything else is a old Nintendo Switch game. So PlayStation is just falling apart in its Japan software sales. And then hardware sales, it's getting kind of crazy here. The Vita and the new 3DS LL are below Xbox One and Xbox One S sales, which are now in the triple digits when they traditionally Xboxes were in the double digits as far as sales. They still are not anywhere actually competing compared to the Switch sales or the PlayStation sales, but they are improving, and Microsoft should be happy with any improvement as far as getting sales in Japan for their hardware, considering how their software lineup in Japanese is probably terrible. We have a game on Steam here called War Robots Planet Defenders, which looks like a mech game, but it doesn't look particularly interesting. It looks like it's not very visually polished. It's $5.59 English only. Easily ignored. And we already talked about that story. And we already talked about that story. And let's see, Gamatsu has an article here. Worldwide Adventure Collection 2 announced for the Switch, which seems to be a collection of adventure games I don't recognize. Yeah, these look like basically RPG Maker, the Switch version. Yeah, that doesn't look interesting. I'm skipping over, let's see, the games, so we can just wrap up here. It probably goes to show how long it takes to get a game approved these days, that just now on December 18th, there is a troll game on Steam called OK Boomer. 89 cents here, English only. Yeah, so the OK Boomer meme started at least 3 weeks ago. It probably has been running in the parts of 4chan and forums that I haven't been following for a lot longer, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's even 2 months ago that people started really saying it, to the point where somebody would have thought to make a low effort asset flip game and sell it on Steam. So it does seem like it is now getting down to the point where if you are trying to list something that Steam doesn't particularly want to just greenlight, then they are taking 3 months or so to have it happen. And here we have a game called The Disgusting Slaughter Man, which looks like it is a low polygon Borderlands clone, which we haven't really seen anybody really try to make a A low effort Borderlands looter shooter clone. This is $5.94 English only. Not something I put on the follow list, but I kind of want to applaud the idea. I would like to see more people try to make looter shooter clones instead of just first person shooter battle royale games. See, Gamatsu has an article here. The Legend of Heroes Hajimari no Kisekai has been announced for the PS4, which looks like it's a Square Enix Final Fantasy style game. This is part of the Trails series, and that's part of the problem with the Trails series in general, is that they're not well labeled, at least in the English translations. Let's see, we got just a couple more things. TechRaptor has an article here. Epic Games Store development update gives a first look at reviews and wish lists, which is interesting because I didn't think that they were going to let reviews happen, but I guess it'll be up to the developers. New features are behind schedule, no duh. Wishlisting. One of the things about the Epic Games Store, though, is there was that new DLC for Control, and I could not figure out how you would install the new DLC from the storefront. It seems like maybe it just installs by default, or maybe it doesn't, or maybe it's not really DLC at all and it's just an update to the game. I think it might just be an update to the game. So there's just, yeah, it's still very much a mess to try to use the Epic Store, and there's not a lot there in the first place. At least I understand the Steam Store here. Like, for its many pull down options that I never use, I can figure out fairly quickly where to go and where I want to go, and I can't really do that with Steam. This game, Super Korotama, is a ball balancing arcade game. Not something. This isn't really one of those games I'd want to actually play in a digital format. I don't know if I'd even really want to play it in a real world format, but I would definitely want to have some feedback and feeling of the controls if I was trying to play a game like this. And this is $4.49 when it really should be about 99 cents for what it is. English and Spanish. So that's going to leave me with about 5 games I could have talked about. And instead I'm just going to jump to the Humble Bundle. And let's see. Seems like this game, the Window Box, might be somewhat interesting. I've never heard of it though, but still a lot of games in this Jingle bundle that is not of any real interest. And I guess there's a Paradox Management bundle that might be new. So let's look at that bundle. Doesn't seem like there's any other. So what are the Paradox Management games? Prison Architect and Cities. Yeah, we've already looked at that. Okay, well, for this Wednesday, I don't think that there's going to be a ton of new things to mention. Apparently the Game Awards viewer numbers were up 73% since 2018, which is cool. I suppose that the Game Awards is gaining some fandom. I think it really had to, though, with just the kind of utter failure that was E3, and E3 just not really catching people's attention, even though it's trying really hard to. And I'm just going to scroll down my Twitter feed and see. Here's a article from TechRaptor. Warcraft 3 Reforged release date finally confirmed. That's a different way of saying it was delayed. Some of the yellow journalism you can certainly pull off is have the same article say it two different ways. Let's see. Stardew Valley 1.4 console edition has arrived. Yeah, and that's it. Yep, there really isn't anything else on my Twitter feed. No new news. Not super surprising. The amount of new things that are likely to come out between now and the beginning of the year is exponentially getting smaller and smaller. And it is going to be kind of a hard sell even to buy things for the Christmas sale. If there really isn't any trading cards or anything that happens during the Steam Christmas sale, I may skip it completely. I may spend less than $50 on it. It's really hard to justify buying games when you're not even really playing games. It is. I'm really just at this point taking most of December off, for the most part. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.